The Moon is a celestial body that orbits Earth, being Earth's only permanent natural satellite. It is the fifth largest natural satellite in the solar system, and the largest among planetary satellites relative to the size of the planet that it orbits. The Moon is after Jupiter's moon Io the second densest satellite among those whose densities are known. The Moon is thought to have formed about 4.5 billion years ago, shortly after Earth. The most widely accepted explanation is that the Moon formed from the debris left over after a Mars-sized body collided with Earth. The Moon is made mostly of rock and metal, specifically, a rock called anorthosite and iron. The surface of the Moon is covered in a layer of fine, powdery soil called regolith. The regolith is made up of small pieces of rock and dust that have been ground up by meteorite impacts over billions of years. The Moon also has a small amount of water ice on its surface, which is thought to have been delivered by comets. The inside of the Moon is thought to be made up of a metallic core, a mantle, and a crust. The core is thought to be made of iron and nickel, and it is thought to be about 1,480 miles, 2,380 kilometers, in diameter. The mantle is made up of rock, and it is about 1,240 miles, 2,000 kilometers, thick. The crust is made up of anorthosite and is about 60 miles, 100 kilometers, thick. Human beings first landed on the Moon on July 20, 1969, during the Apollo 11 mission. The mission was launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, United States, and was the first manned mission to land on the Moon. The spacecraft that carried the astronauts to the Moon was called Apollo 11, and it was launched from Earth on July 16, 1969. The astronauts who landed on the Moon were Neil Armstrong and Edwin "Buzz" Aldrin. They landed on the Moon in a spacecraft called the Lunar Module, which was carried to the Moon by a larger spacecraft called the Command Module. The Lunar Module was designed to land on the Moon, while the Command Module remained in orbit around the Moon. After landing, Armstrong and Aldrin spent about 2.5 hours walking on the surface of the Moon, collecting samples of lunar rock and soil, conducting experiments, and taking photographs. They returned to Earth on July 24, 1969. There are many potential uses for the Moon that have been proposed by scientists, engineers, and policymakers. Some possible uses for the Moon include a scientific research station. The Moon could be used as a base for scientific research into a variety of fields, including geology, astronomy, and the search for extraterrestrial life. A hub for space exploration. The Moon could serve as a jumping-off point for missions to other parts of the solar system, including Mars. A source of resources. The Moon is thought to contain several valuable resources, including helium-3, which is a potential fuel for fusion reactors, and rare earth elements, which are used in a wide variety of high-tech products. A location for space-based solar power. The Moon could be used as a location for space-based solar power stations, which could generate electricity by harnessing the energy of the sun and transmitting it to Earth via microwaves. A location for tourism. Some people have proposed that the Moon could be developed as a location for space tourism, with private companies offering trips to the lunar surface for paying customers. Ultimately, the use of the Moon will depend on the priorities and goals of humanity, as well as the technical feasibility and economic viability of different activities. The Moon and the Sun appear to overlap perfectly during a solar eclipse because the Moon is exactly the right distance from the Earth, and the right size to cover the Sun as viewed from the Earth. A solar eclipse occurs when the Moon passes between the Sun and the Earth, blocking the Sun's light from reaching the Earth. The size of the Moon as viewed from the Earth is about the same as the size of the Sun as viewed from the Earth. This is because the Moon is about 400 times smaller than the Sun, but it is also about 400 times closer to the Earth than the Sun. As a result, the Moon and the Sun appear to be about the same size in the sky, which is why the Moon can completely cover the Sun during a solar eclipse. The fact that the Moon and the Sun appear to be the same size in the sky is a coincidence that is due to the relative sizes and distances of the Moon and the Sun from the Earth. It is not a result of any special relationship between the Moon and the Sun. It is difficult to say exactly what will happen to the Moon in the very distant future, as it depends on several factors that are difficult to predict. However, there are a few things that are likely to happen to the Moon over the course of the next several billion years. One thing that is likely to happen to the Moon is that it will continue to slowly move away from the Earth. The Moon is currently moving about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, farther away from the Earth each year, due to the gravitational pull of the Earth on the Moon. This process, called lunar recession, is caused by the transfer of energy from the Earth's rotation to the Moon's orbit. Another thing that is likely to happen to the Moon is that it will continue to experience meteorite impacts. The Moon has a very thin atmosphere, which means that it is not protected from meteorites like the Earth is. As a result, the Moon is bombarded by meteorites, which can create impact craters on the lunar surface. In the very distant future, the Moon could become tidally locked to the Earth, which means that it would always show the same face to the Earth. This would happen if the Moon's rate of rotation slowed down until it matched its orbit around the Earth. However, this process would take billions of years to occur. Overall, the Moon will continue to change and evolve over the course of the next several billion years, but it is difficult to predict exactly how it will change.